Just a very quick video for today around the two characters that have been released as models, kind of information on Warhammer community. Again, this is slightly later than I normally would kind of do this, but it's been a busy day. So the first one that was kind of showcased is Intranzia Frey, new character for Sisters in a giant throne walker chair thing. It has a lot of character keywords. So just going to go through kind of the data sheet as it is. So it has 8-inch movement, 7 toughness, 3 up save, 4 up invuln. I guess because not fully in case it can't justify a 2 up save. Wounds 8, leadership 6, fairly standard for Sisters characters, and then OT 3, slightly higher than kind of some of the other variants. So has a fair amount of guns. It has 2 heavy bolters, 2 flamers, a melter, missile array, the mace of Saint Praxedes, something, and then the throne of blame, which is the thing that she sits upon. So the ranged weapons themselves, standard heavy bolter, 36, 3 attacks, hits on 2s, which is pretty solid, with sustained, strength 5, AP 1, damage 2, nothing new there, 2 of them, so 6 shots. The Melter missile array, Melter 2, 24-inch range, so slightly longer range than Sisters is kind of standard. Range of 18, so otherwise fairly similar, but he's only D3 damage, so he's quite lackluster, and AP2, which is very odd. Only strength 9 as well, so there's not even like a strength bump to kind of compensate. But extra range, melter range of 12, so it's going to be D3 plus 2, so you're looking at an average of 4 damage, which is okay. Good against any 3 wound infantry, I guess, especially anything that has a 4 up invuln with a 3 up save. You're always going to be hitting that outside of armor contempt, but not as kind of useful as some of the other profiles that Sisters have for melter equivalents. You then have the 2 heavy flamers, fairly standard, 12-inch, ignoring cover, D6 shots, strength 6, AP 1, damage 1. Good. Average Overwatch, I guess, 2d6, as it has 2 of them. Nice way of doing that. It has a 5 up feel no pain, so it has slight extra durability, but AP 1 at T7, things like auto cannons and similar, strength 8 and 9, damage 3, are going to put the hurt on this quite quickly, get through those 8 wounds. It does have a battle shock ability similar to Dante, I believe, from Blood Angels. Start fight phase, 6-inch, everyone take a battle shock at -1. Either really useful or really useless, because you can't plan ahead. So you can't be like, cool, right, now that I know everyone in the charge phase failed their battle shock, I'm going to charge here and here and here. It's very short range, and in the fight phase, so similar to the Incubi, it's either great, they can't interrupt, or never mind, it did nothing. So very swingy, as a lot of the battle shock abilities are currently. They're either all or nothing. You then have the Judge for Execution. It's an 18-inch range until from your movement phase, so you at least get to move into the line of sight of something until the command phase. Each time a friendly Sisters unit makes an attack that targets the enemy unit that's been pointed at, you get lethal hits. So it's a nice way to get lethal hits, but it's 18-inch range, have to be visible, so you are painting a target on your back, and a lot of the stuff that you're going to want to get lethal hits against is either quick enough to charge you, say Bloodthirster, or most infantry units, or a tank that if you fail to kill the Rogal Dawn nukes this unit from orbit. Sorry. So overall, it's a bit of a weird unit. It does have the Penitent keyword, which is interesting, as well as Vehicle and Walker and Epic Hero and character, fairly standard expectations otherwise. So it can Heroic, which is pseudo-useful with its Sustained 1, Strength 6, AP 2, Damage 2, slightly stronger Master Crafted power sword, and then the throne itself has 4 strength 6 at no AP, damage 1, hitting on 4 attacks. Bit, it's a bit of a weird unit. It doesn't really add anything to the sisters. It's probably going to be somewhere in the 150 point range, plus minus a bit. Yeah, it's a cool looking unit. I don't think it's going to see a huge amount of potential play, purely because it doesn't really add anything extra for its point cost. It can't lead anything, can't even, join the unit of mortifiers, which would be quite amusing. I think at the end of the day, currently, until maybe next edition, it's a cool painting project. Unless it comes out at 80 points, then maybe it has a use case, but you have kind of Junith that fills a similar role with better abilities currently. And the melter missile array is the bit that's a bit sad. If it was either strength 10 or 11 to compensate for the low AP and low damage, maybe it would be interesting, but where it's basically just a low damage version of a multi-melter, for probably the points cost, the Retributors are going to do more damage and more consistently. So yeah, bit of a sad one. We then have the strange Inquisitor Croyle on his weird captured creature. So he seems quite cool personally. He is more useful in some armies than others, and his use case will be different depending on the army. So moves 12, nice and fast, that's always useful, particularly for agents in the Imperium who don't have fast units outside of the transports and kind of flyers. They're not as mobile as this generally. 3 up save, 4 up inbound, so nice durability there. 6 wounds, 6 up leadership, OC2, which is, nice. Not game winning, but it's a mounted unit, fairly standard to be 2 OC. He then has some pretty good guns that get better. It's only 1 shot, but it's anti-monster heavy precision, so he hits on 2s, and he's probably not moving because, spoilers, he has lone up. So he can sit 36 inches away and shoot and be relatively safe and do some chip damage into monsters. Otherwise, it's strength 6, AP2 damage 2 with precision, so he can snipe into character units and do some chip damage there. Otherwise, has a very okay pistol, 12-inch range, 2 shots at least. Being on 2, strength 5, AP2 damage 2. It is not, awful if he's within 12 of something that's a Space Marine-esque profile. Probably the pistol initially is better, just because of the extra shot. He then has some combat, again, not massively amazing. 5 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP2, damage 1. Will kill some gargoyles and equivalent. Is not going to be able to punch himself out of combat. He then has the creature's claws and teeth, which are 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 5, AP1, damage 1. So 9 attacks can potentially go in and do some damage to a unit. Obviously, with only 6 wounds and a 4 up inbone and T4, the odds of him dying in response is relatively high. He does interestingly have Scout 6, which on a lone operative unit is really useful because you Scout 6, so and then move 12, he's going 18 turn 1, can easily go off and do a secondary, is probably going to be somewhere in the 100 to 150 point range, I would imagine. Has grenades, so that's always useful. 18-inch turn 1 grenades, excellent. Kill off their skirmishy piece that's kind of moved up towards. He does then have the mounted keyword, and then Imperium, Epic Hero, Order Xenos, Inquisitor, Croyle, has lots of keywords. Not many of them do a lot, but yeah. So again, lone op, amazing, always a useful ability, especially on something fast moving. He is no Wazdaka, as we kind of looked at earlier in the week, but useful at least. He's something different that agents don't have. It's a different unit that the Imperium doesn't have from the agent's book. A lot of the Imperial armies outside of Knights have similar units within their own books. in some form or another, though not a little bit rarer. The Combi Lieutenant obviously is really good because of the reactive. Sisters don't have kind of lone op, so this might see play for them, maybe. Guard, I don't really think he's going to be huge, except for one of his abilities. So, on my Signal Fire, after this unit has shot, you can select one enemy unit hit by those attacks until the end of the phase, each time an Agents of the Imperium or an Imperium infantry battle line model from your army makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, reroll a hit roll. Luckily, it says infantry, so you can't give rerolls to armigers, thankfully, sadly, depending on your point of view, but you can give it to kind of battle line infantry, which Imperium doesn't really have many that are going to be valid outside of kind of helping probably the Imperial agents do a bit more damage. It only lasts for the shooting phase, so you can't really kind of use it to break in to something else. I generally don't know if oh, they do. So you have like the Vigilant Squad have it. At least they can use it. I don't really know outside of the Sisters of Battle Squad what the kind of level of guns range actually are in the book for Inquisitorial agents. I don't really think there's many, so it's and the range is kind of not real for a lot of the stuff. Does the Grey Knight? The 7 Squad doesn't. Not that their guns are amazing, but it's at least kind of something that might have been useful. So nothing massively useful for him to proc into the kind of the agents. For Grey Knights, again, might be kind of slightly useful with the battle line. Although a lot of the kind of main thing at the moment is Purifier Squads, which aren't so bothered about hitting with a lot of their guns. So I don't think it's kind of an amazing kind of ability because of the limitations that you kind of might say. It's cute, basically, it's going to be occasionally. Rerolls are always nice. We then have Tech Cycler, which is the Tox Cycler, sorry, which is in his shooting phase after this unit is shot. If he hits, which 5 out of 6 times he should, until the end of the battle, add 2 to the strength and damage of that weapon with a max damage characteristic of 6. So the strength can keep going up, the damage caps at 6. So if he hits every turn by turn 5, you're adding kind of an extra 8 strength, because unless you overwatch with a single shotgun, he's not getting that last extra strength buff to be relevant. But you can add kind of the 8 strength, so you can get it to strength 14 in theory if he shoots every turn. So that last shot at the end, AP2 damage 6, could be funny, especially with precision. But kind of as of turn 3, he kind of maxes damage, so becomes quite efficient at character sniping in potentially. Again, AP2 in cover with armor contempt potentially for a lot of units means saving on base save. So not huge in that sense, but it's cute. It will come down to points again for this one. Neither of these characters feel anywhere near the levels of the guard characters and general the guard units that seem pretty solid, and nothing like Wazdaka, and definitely not Yarrick. Neither of them get 3 abilities for a start. So yeah, it's a bit of a different one. I think they're okay. I think the models look cool, unless they're particularly cheap. I don't think they're overly useful. It will be when you need, with particularly the Inquisitor, it will be I need something that can go do X and be a lone op is the most likely reason to take him, and I don't want to take a Calidus Assassin or something similar. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and what you think of these units, whether you think they are useful, I've missed something. Please make sure obviously you kind of like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, just helps grow. this so more people get to see, because again, I want to make sure that what I share is kind of useful and helping people, particularly with learning 11th edition, especially if they haven't had a previous edition change, because there is a lot of things that are changing. That looking at Discord and Facebook and all social media, a lot of people are either kind of going down the rabbit hole of doom or kind of extrapolating things that are not necessarily related. But hopefully we kind of find out a bit more soon. My plan for kind of the rest of the day is build the new Kravik and start looking at how to put my defilers together, because looking forward to using those. Thank you for watching.